Today we're going to tie a mayfly pattern. So anytime I have a mayfly hatch, this is one of my go-to bugs. I call this the Deep Purple. It's been effective in beta hatch, all kinds of different things, but yeah, good productive pattern, gets down quick. All right, so a couple simple materials. First we start off with a Moonlit ML058 size 16 and a 3.0 millimeter tungsten bead. And again, guys, if you like what you're seeing here, hit the like and subscribe, leave a comment. We have a fast, high-speed replay after this, so you can get a second look. Then I start off with Glow Bright in purple. Get some wraps, and then I take this thread and I hold it nice and high and steep, and you can see as my thread comes across, it hits that, and that just stacks my turns. It gives me those nice touching turns on the way back. So I'll hold that out, and I'll basically bring it down to right before the bend goes. So there we go, get a little snip. Next up, I take some black marabou. I use the strung marabou, and then what I'll do is I'll grab about 10 to 15 barb oils off of that. And I'll take those barb oils and I'll kind of pull them off at a 90, and then just kind of yank those off in a grouping. Once I have those set, that's going to stack them up, you know, kind of get those tips relatively even. And I take quite a few because sometimes the tips are broken off, etc. And we want you know, a decent sized tail on this. And then I'm going to mat them down with some saliva. You can use water if you want, but that gets them a little easier to work with. And then I'll put basically kind of 2 little quick turns on that to hold it in place, and then slide it back into place. And I leave that tail pretty long. You can see I have only a handful left, even though I put, you know, 10 or 12 in there. Alright, so now when I have that in place, I just start wrapping up towards the bead to get that kind of tied in. And I'm going all the way up, and the only reason is just because I want to keep that body pretty uniform. I want it thin, but I want it uniform. So now I have that in place, I'll wrap back, and as I'm wrapping back, I'm trying to do touching turns on the way back too, so that I'm covering that up and making it nice and clean in the same colorway. Next up, I use some ultra wire in size BR color black, and I'll take this, kind of just stick it in the back of that bead, and I'll hold it on my side a bit as I get that first wrap in place, and then I'll wrap touching turns on the way back, and I'm keeping that wire as best I can on top. That's going to keep this thing pretty thin as I'm wrapping up. Okay, now that I got it up, you can see I'm pretty clean. I'll counter wrap my wire, so I get about usually 6 turns into this. And then I get it up towards this bead here. Don't worry about having a little bit of stuff going on up here by the bead, because we're going to clean that up when we add our straggle string. So that's why I call this the Deep Purple, because the next material I'm going to add is the straggle string in olive. Okay, so but before we do that, I want to give this thing a little bit of shine. So I add some flow to it, and I spread that flow out a little bit along this. Okay, so now you can see that's pretty well covered. So what I'll do is I'll kind of just dap my finger on there a few times and take off a little bit of that, because I just want a little bit of a sheen to it is all. But I want that ribbing to show up. Okay, now I flash it and get that nice and dried up. Boom. Okay, Now, next thing is adding that straggle string, that olive straggle string. So with the straggle string, you'll see it's just like any other chenille. There's a direction to the fibers that come off. And what I'll do is I'll start tying that in. And what I do is I tie it in with a little bit of a tag in place. And that ensures that I get that core material. So I'll put 2 wraps and usually 1 in front to kind of secure it. And then I'll snip out that little tag. And bam, we're ready to rock. So now here, you don't need much. I only really put 3 wraps on. So 1, 2, 3. Yep, we're gonna back that up because had our thread. Did you see that? The thread skipped over in front. We're gonna put another wrap here. See if we can keep that in control. There we go. 1, 2, 3. All right, 3 wraps. Anchor it off. Couple turns, and then I'll use my wedge cut with scissors. So just leave a little wedge in your scissors, and then hold tension and slide that in, and it'll cut it. And what that does is cuts it without killing your all your little straggles coming off there. Otherwise, you're gonna end up snipping those off. I do that with my hackles too. So, and I'm done. Tie it off, and that's a wrap. Same thing, wedge cut on this, that way I'm not cutting my straggles, and I got a nice kind of little hackle there. Yeah, this thing, it's a killer. Really works well, so enjoy. Hit that like and subscribe button, and again, we're gonna have fast high-speed replay so you can see this again. Thanks, peace.